Welcome to NewsDecoded, where we dive deep beneath the headlines and bring you the stories that matter, unfiltered, uncompromised, and completely decoded. If you're passionate about uncovering the truth, we encourage you to subscribe, give us a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support allows us to keep breaking down complex issues and bringing transparency to the conversation. Today we begin with a rather telling moment, one that unfolded on the global stage yet resonated deeply within the United States.
Former President Donald Trump made a public appearance at the Club World Cup final at MetLife Stadium this past Sunday. But rather than the roar of applause he might have expected, the crowd greeted him with resounding boos, and visible discontent swept through the stadium.
Multiple video angles captured the moment Trump walked out onto the field. Spectators responded not with cheers, but with unmistakable jeers. In one clip, the stadium's Jumbotron briefly displayed Trump's image before it was abruptly changed, as the crowd erupted in loud boos. And this wasn't just a handful of detractors. It was widespread and unmistakable. In another angle, as Trump appears, the reaction is audible. Someone in the background remarks, "Wow, they're booing him," as a wave of rejection fills the air. What's more, in yet another shot, people in the stands can be seen raising their middle fingers, visibly expressing their disdain. This reaction is more than just a spontaneous expression of disagreement at a sports event. It reflects a larger, ongoing national sentiment of frustration and disillusionment, especially in light of recent controversies surrounding Trump and his administration. One of the most significant and troubling developments has been the apparent cover-up involving the infamous Epstein client list. The public was promised transparency. Officials had stated that the list was ready for release, on their desks, they said. Yet, that release never came. Instead, the story quietly disappeared from official channels, fueling widespread speculation and outrage. It's hard to overstate the gravity of that decision. The list is believed to contain names of powerful individuals who may have been involved with or associated with the late Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender whose death in custody sparked global suspicions. Failing to release the list erodes public trust, suggests complicity, and leaves victims without the justice they deserve. Even before this scandal broke open again, Trump's approval ratings were slipping. Public polling consistently showed a downward trend, with net approval now deeper in the negatives than during any point in his first presidency. That is saying a lot, considering how divisive his administration has always been. One of the core promises of his presidency was a clear and effective immigration strategy. For many of his supporters, that promise was key: a strong border, a streamlined immigration process, and an end to what they saw as chaos. But what followed has been far from orderly. Instead, what the public has witnessed is inconsistency. Policy direction has swung wildly. Deportation efforts have sometimes focused on critical labor sectors like agriculture, creating uncertainty for farmers and food suppliers. Tariffs have been imposed and removed without clear strategic rationale. Agencies like ICE have expanded operations dramatically, often targeting people with deep roots in American communities, friends, neighbors, colleagues. This kind of policy volatility has left businesses in limbo and families in fear. The lack of a steady, humane, and clear strategy has not only failed to deliver results, but has led to deeper societal divides.
And now, even many of the very Americans who once championed these immigration policies are stepping back, questioning their real-world effects and ethical implications. Polling data supports this shift in sentiment. A few years ago, more than half of Americans supported reducing immigration. Today, that figure has dropped significantly, to around 30%. That's a dramatic turnaround in a relatively short amount of time. It suggests a growing recognition among the public that immigration can be a strength, not a threat, particularly when managed responsibly.
Meanwhile, on the international stage, Trump's approach to global conflicts has also come under fire. The war between Russia and Ukraine has continued, and many experts believe that Trump's rhetoric and actions have only served to escalate tensions rather than resolve them. On trade, his highly publicized tariff plans were touted as a tool to protect American industry and punish unfair trade practices abroad. But in reality, the tariffs have resulted in retaliatory measures, disrupted global supply chains, and raised prices for American consumers. None of these outcomes reflect the sweeping promises Trump made to the American people. What was marketed as a revolution against the establishment has instead looked, to many, like exploitation of that same establishment for personal gain.
You know, it's important to remember the financial entanglements that raise ethical questions.
Reports about lucrative business deals, like, for instance, a $400 million aircraft from a Middle Eastern nation, raise flags about whether foreign policy was shaped by national interest or personal enrichment.
There are even allegations that digital tokens and cryptocurrency coins connected to Trump's inner circle were launched purely for profit, without clear regulation or oversight.
These revelations, combined with the administration's secrecy, have further fueled public frustration.
When Trump stepped onto that field in New Jersey, it wasn't just about soccer. It wasn't even just about politics. It was about accountability or, the lack thereof.
Reports confirm that Trump's box at the stadium was shared with notable figures from his administration, including his wife, the former First Lady, as well as high-level government officials.
Their presence was part of an effort to project unity and control.
But the crowd wasn't buying it. The American people are seeing the gaps between promises and reality, between rhetoric and results.
And many are no longer willing to sit silently. They are calling out what they see as hypocrisy, injustice and self-serving politics, whether in sports stadiums or voting booths.
There are still critical issues unfolding today that require attention, many that can't be solved with populist slogans. Healthcare access remains under attack. Medicaid programs are being gutted, leaving tens of millions vulnerable. Immigration enforcement continues to divide communities and traumatize families. And that Epstein client list, still missing, casts a long and painful shadow over it all. We must continue asking hard questions, even when answers are inconvenient. We must demand transparency, even when powerful people would prefer silence. And we must stay engaged, because honestly, the future of our democracy depends on it. Thank you for watching News Decoded, where facts come first, spin gets exposed, and the truth never takes a back seat. If you found this report informative, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button, and leaving a comment to let us know your thoughts. Your voice matters, and together we shine a light on the stories that others prefer to leave in the dark. Until next time, stay informed, stay critical, and stay decoded.